I'm Rosie Anderson from Honeypot Digital, and I'm putting together another brief recording of how to create a CV this time. So I'm going to share my screen. I have got this as a PDF document, so if anybody is looking for, would like a copy, if you're writing a CV, then do feel free to reach out to me. So this is our career hacking toolkit, and it can be used for anybody, whether you are whether you're a student, whether you're an industry professional, anything like that. This can be sort of used for, and it is very much a step-by-step guide. So it's a bit of blurb as to who we are and who I am, but just to kind of introduce myself, I am Rosie Anderson. I've got 15 years recruitment experience, 5 years within cybersecurity, and I work for Honeypot Digital, which are in Manchester. And a bit more blurb. So whenever you're writing a CV, and you can use this structure for an interview as well, you need to think about, let me just check that you can actually see my screen and I've shared it. I think I have, but let me just double check. Yeah, that should be working. You need to think about the STAR methodology. So STAR is a way to structure your answers, and it's a great tool when you're writing a CV as well. So STAR is situation, task, action, result. So if you need to explain the situation of what you were doing, so you can do this in your CV. So at my last role at X place, or during my university assessment, I was involved in this, this, and this. So the situation is setting the scene. So for example, I was asked to do a recruitment workshop on inclusive hiring practices for a recent online festival. That is the situation. The task is where you explain briefly what you were doing, who was part of a group, if you were part of a work group, or if you did that on your own. So for example, I put together a presentation with a kind of standard hiring plan with action points that could be taken away. That's a task. The action then is what you did, why you did it, how you did it, what skills you used. They are the sorts of things in terms of the action points. So it was via Zoom. It was very interactive because that's how I work. There was about 15 people on the Zoom talk, and it was very much question and answers at the end. So that's kind of the actions. I always do Zoom, for example. I prefer my workshops to be interactive rather than just me talking like I am now, which is why you can probably see I'm quite uncomfortable. Results, then what happened? So it's always good in your CV. The project that we worked on was XYZ, this was who was involved, and at the end, the quantifiable result was this. So we managed to improve runtime by X amount of days or hours. The feedback that I got from the stakeholders was this has really improved the speed of the systems that we're working on. Think about the impacts, because it kind of just ties up everything that you've done in those points that you've just put there. So next, with CVs, working in recruitment, these are the things that we see all the time. You know, first impressions count. 33% of hiring managers say they know within 60 seconds if they like someone, if they really dislike someone, despite average interviews being about 40 minutes. You know, first impressions, be on time, be smart and presentable. Make sure you smile, because smiling again is really important. Maintain eye contact. If you know, eye contact is something that you're not comfortable with, make the recruiter aware, or make your recruitment partner aware. You know, if for example you struggle with making eye contact and that's just part of your makeup, make them aware so they can accommodate that. Email addresses, you know, it's all right to have your funny email address for your friends, but if you're applying for roles, try and not, you know, have anything unprofessional in an email address. So your CV is normally, this is something I advocate against, but anyway, it's normally the first thing that a hiring manager will see. So do's and don'ts. Don't include a personal photo. It can play into bias. There's loads of myths with CVs. Don't think you've got to stick to 2 pages. If you've got 10 years experience in the industry, that would be absolutely impossible. Write about I instead of we. So write first person. Spell check. Oh my God, the amount of CVs that we see with spelling mistakes, and so do spell check before you send it. And phone numbers, how are they going to contact you? Phone numbers on CVs, again, is something really simple that can be forgotten about. If you've got a portfolio, link it into your CV, because again, portfolio is really important as a way of showcasing, particularly if you're a graduate or you're a junior in the industry, or you're changing into a different business area. A portfolio is also really important. So contact details, yep, just mentioned that. Phone numbers. Don't put things on there like your nationality, your marital status, your gender. It doesn't really add any value. And don't put too much. You know, you find to just put your town and your county or the location that you are. So Manchester, for example, you don't have to put your full address. Eventually, when you get through a recruitment process, then obviously you can give your full address details then. Elevator pitch. So your elevator pitch should be the very first thing that is on your CV in your profile. So for example, the type of work that you're looking for, the type of experience that you have, you know, really write that in there. Don't be afraid to put in there what you're most proud of, you know, what you think are your achievements, or the type of work that you're looking for. So if you want to be a pen tester within a consultancy to gain extra exposure, then put that kind of in there. Anything that you've done, you know, if you're active in the community, you're doing CTF, you're doing blogs, you're doing conferences, you've volunteered at conferences, anything like that, you can put in there as well. And for example, summarize the area of cybersecurity, if that's what you're interested in, or software development that you're interested in. So if you're applying for different roles, you can tailor it every time. So for example, if you're applying for a role within a financial services organization, you can say that's what you're interested in. But do remember to change that, because then if you apply for something in defense and it says financial services, they'll think it's just these kind of small things that might put them off. Key achievements. So this is everything that you've kind of done that you're most proud of. Again, use that STAR methodology. So for example, I recently volunteered at B-Sides Leeds and set up the rig for the on-site CTF competition. This meant that we could monitor activity of participants in real time, make sure that the winning team were actually deserving of the prize, as well as offering support for anyone who looking to learn and develop. That's the kind of example at the bottom of there. But those kind of STAR techniques will really help you kind of structure the points in your CV. Obviously, make sure any feedback that you've got, any positive outcomes, make sure it's quantifiable. So if you manage to X amount of users, X amount of stakeholders, it worked with these different parts of the business, they're the types of things. And if there's been any sort of problems that you've solved that are similar to the type of business that you're applying for, that's really, this is the kind of thing that will make your CV kind of really stand out. Education and training. So dependent on if you're a graduate, this might come first, or it might come after career history. So it kind of depends on who you are and kind of the experience that you have. But education can be qualifications, but it can also be the things that you do in your spare time. So the amount of people that will say to me, you know, a degree isn't essential. You know, if you're really passionate about getting into the industry and you're continually learning, you're doing challenges, you're on Bornholm, Cybery, you're doing learning in your own time, put that on here, because again, it will really kind of make you kind of stand out, because people do this, people do these kind of things and don't necessarily put them on the CV. So your CV might be discounted despite you being, you know, really trying hard in your own time to get into the industry and to learn. So make sure that's on there. Then your employment experience. So do include volunteer, part-time, placement work here as well. If there's gaps in your CV, you know, explain them, add any information. So this was part-time work during my studies. Don't be afraid to include things that's not relevant. So if you worked at a restaurant at the weekends, it shows you can work in a team, you can handle money, you're trustworthy. You know, it shows you're not afraid of hard work. So don't worry too much about kind of what's on there in terms of discounted things. So if there's gaps, you can put in there what you've been doing. If you've been doing events, community events, helping out on projects and things like that, put that on there, because again, it's showing what you're doing in your own time. Obviously, if you're an experienced professional and you're working, you need to put, okay, what projects have I worked on? And it's really, don't forget about your CV when you're working in an industry, because when you come to look in for another job again, or your next opportunity, you'll forget all the different projects you've worked in. So keep a kind of crib sheet of what you've worked on whilst you're working. So think about, how would I describe this role to my parents or my grandparents or a non-technical family member? So security consultant can mean many things. So start with what's unique to the role that you're doing. What projects have you worked on? What did you achieve? So example, are you pen testing a mobile application on a personal project to ensure the security of personal data? What technologies did you use? Did you work to a particular framework? What were you trying to achieve and in what time scale? So did it have a start and end date? Did you need to do something by a certain time? Did you complete it on time? Did you work on multiple projects with conflicting deadlines? You know, that's important. Did you have multiple stakeholders? So stakeholders can be different business areas, different business units. Who did you interact with? What was their function? Did you lead a team? Did you have to train others or mentor others? Did you work to a budget? Did you manage a budget? All these kind of things are great things to put in a CV. So again, these will probably be the chunkiest part in terms of the roles that you've been doing of your CV. And then anything else. So this is, again, where you can impress them with professional memberships. Are you an OWASP member? It's really easy to be. There's lots of other networks and associations you can kind of join that are cheap or free, that will give you access to more events. Have you submitted any CVEs? Don't worry if you haven't, but if you have, obviously put that on there. Have you got any blogs, led any societies, published any papers, taken part in any speaking engagements? Put all the kind of links to here. This is all the extracurricular stuff that can really help you to stand out. Have you won any awards or commendations for your work, paid or otherwise? References, don't put your references on your CV, put references available on request. Employers don't need this information yet, and if your CV is on a job board, recruiters can take this information to get hiring managers' phone numbers. I don't do that, but there are plenty in the industry that do that, so protect your references. But feel free, if you have testimonials either on LinkedIn, or if you can have a testimonial from previous employees, to put this on your CV. And you don't necessarily need to put the person's name, but you can put, you know, what they've wrote about you, that you're great, that you know, you really helped with a project, those sort of things. And then, yeah, hopefully this has helped. It's been a very quick run through, but if anybody wants this document, then drop me a message, give me a call. I'm on, hang on, my contact details are on the very first page. I'll just flip back to this. This is me. Drop me an email, find me on LinkedIn, find me on Twitter, give me a call if you want any help or you'd like a copy of this document. And I hope that has really helped. Happy Friday, everyone.